find other great podcasts like this one at podmoth.network.
Katelyn,
Yes.
why did the skull have no hope of winning the argument?
He's boned. I don't know. I don't know the answer.
Because he didn't have a leg to stand on.
Oh, that's beautiful.
It's terrible.
In olden days, a glimpse of femur was only for morbid dreamers, but you're not alone. Bring anything bones. Two goofy gals with deathly interest go on a skeleton inquest in your headphones. Anything bones.
Hello and welcome to Anything Bones. I'm Sophie, denatured alcohol Schwartz.
And I'm Katelyn, Tiny Stairs Hart. And this, everybody, this is the podcast where we talk about bones and bone-related topics. Right now, I'm looking at a skull of a muskrat that Sophie gave me, and I know I'm home.
Aww. Well, hopefully that muskrat will always be in your home, wherever your home may be.
Yeah, bone alert, bone alert. I'm moving back to Portland, closer to be with near my family, but it's still not that far from Seattle, so it's not anticipating a huge change. But I will have to get that little delicate muskrat skull down there in one piece, and I do have bubble wrap. I secured that yesterday.
You're not going to drive the 3-hour trip to Portland with one hand on the wheel, one hand on the muskrat?
No, I'm gonna be more focused on the fucking cat that I'm sure is gonna torment the drive down to Portland, or at least sing me a lovely song while we go.
Have you transported Minnie anywhere since you acquired her?
Just the vet. I probably should have practiced more, but here we are. I did yesterday. I went and picked up some medication for her, like from the vet. It's like heavy duty anxiety meds. So
Aww.
it's gabapentin. It's no big deal, but I need to practice. They said I need to like practice. So I don't know when I'm going to do that, but I need to practice her getting stoned before the actual move.
Yeah, do a test run of drugging your cat.
Mm-hmm. That's what they said to do. I guess so I don't know. So if they were like really going to have a bad reaction, I don't know. She just said do a test run a few days before. We'll see how it goes.
I mean, I guess if she looks at you and says, am I gonna be high forever?
Then I'll know.
Yeah, you just gotta swaddle her and tell her no.
She'll be fine. She's been on the stuff before, the anti-anxiety stuff. But they gave it to me at the shelter, the exact same shit that I'm going to be giving to her for the move. But yeah, they diagnosed her with anxiety, but I think she just didn't like the shelter.
Well, you know, I have the utmost sympathy for Minnie because I also have to get drugged up when I travel.
Yeah, it's relatable. We'll see how it goes. Any tips on moving with an animal, send them my way. Well, I think a dog would be more chill with it, but cats really like their routine, so we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, Joe's puppy dogs love the car. The small one curls up in the back seat and falls asleep, and the big one naturally wants to stick his head out the window.
Yeah, I think dogs just tend to like being with their person no matter what they're doing, and cats are less inclined that way.
Most definitely. There was a fire alarm at Joe's apartment complex today, like a fire drill. And the big dog Kuno was very brave, but the little guy was shaking with fear.
Oh,
And we swaddled him in a blanket to like cover his ears. So it
thunder
was like,
shirt.
Yeah, exactly. We made a homemade thunder shirt out of my arms and a blanket.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
I hate those pesky fire alarms I love it for safety. I hate it for the anxiety it causes pets.
Yeah, it's rather hard to explain to the pets the purpose of the fire alarm.
Yeah, the fire alarm went off in my apartment recently, and I wanted to scoop Minnie up because I wasn't exactly sure if it was a drill or if it was just like somebody cooking or what. So I wanted to scoop Minnie up and bring her outside with us, but I couldn't get her. Like, she wouldn't come to me. She was scared. I ended up finding her like inside the couch, like within the depths of the couch in the back. At first I thought I had lost her for good, but then she appeared inside the couch, so it was fine. But yeah, I couldn't find her, so I was like, fuck. We have to figure out a better system for emergencies. Like, this is shitty.
You and Minnie have to do fire drills.
Apparently, yeah. She's gonna learn on this move what's what.
Well, I'll be telling you what's what.
Okay.
Because I'm first this week.
Do it.
So, not to give away anything about this episode, but I think, we're taking it to a spooky place this episode, I feel.
Yeah. I felt I wanted to because I've done so many heavy things lately. We've done some heavy stuff.
Yeah, no, I didn't want to do anything that was a total bummer.
Yeah.
Now, emphasis on total.
Yeah, I mean, it's still us, so there are some parts of it that's a bummer.
Yeah, but I mean, if you turn your lens while looking at bummer, if you turn it slightly to the left, you'll see mystery. And that
intrigue.
Yes.
Curiosity.
Yes. Wonder.
Yes. But
also the macabre. Adjectives aside, I wish to talk about the ghost ship, the Mary Celeste.
I'm ready. Toot toot. Let's get on this boat. This doomed boat.
Yeah. Oh, Katelyn, your prescience is impressive sometimes. So my sources for this seaworthy adventure are Britannica.com, Smithsonian Magazine, Wikipedia, All This Interesting, and History.com.
Lots of classics, lots of MVPs.
Mm-hmm. It was funny. I was having a fun conversation with Joe about spotting reputable sources because he was helping me out with some research. And he poked out from behind the couch and was like, "Is Reader's Digest a reputable source?" And I was like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, I think it's fine.
Yeah. So, the Mary Celeste. On November 7th, 1872, a merchant ship, the Mary Celeste, left New York Harbor for Genova, Italy. Genoa? Genoa. That's what I thought. Left for Genoa, Italy with a cargo of denatured alcohol. The Mary Celeste was captained by Captain Benjamin Briggs, and his crew was 7 men that he handpicked himself. He also had brought along his wife and 2-year-old daughter.
It's a family affair with this denatured alcohol.
Well, you got everything you need for a family vacation. The family, of course, about 1,700 barrels of denatured alcohol and 7 rowdy seamen.
What could possibly go wrong?
Oh, nothing. As this completely fine ship and its crew go out to sea, they experience extremely difficult weather. We're talking raging storms out the wazoo. And it's said that they tried to alter their course to avoid this weather, but it simply, was not in the cards. And they endured this weather for about 2 weeks before reaching the Azores. Captain Briggs had been writing down in his journal everything that was happening on this journey, but his journal ended on November 25th, 1872 at 5 a.m.
Oh, God.
It's never good when the diary stops.
No, he's religiously writing in it, and then it's just done.
Nope. Yep.
Oh, God.
So the night before this, his log says that the crew and his ship are headed into the seas with winds of about 35 knots, which is pretty crazy wind-wise.
I believe you. I have no idea what the scale is.
Let me look that up real quick. Okay, so that's winds of like 40 miles per hour. And out on the sea, that's got to be gnarly.
I don't like winds of that speed on land. I can't imagine dealing with that at sea.
Yeah, I'm not sure I've experienced weather like that in my life.
No, I don't think so. That'd be really, really shitty.
But something that is good is that apparently by the next morning, they actually come out unscathed from this weather and they see the island of Santa Maria. Hold on them for a moment. The British ship, the De Gratia, was about 400 miles east of the Azores on December 5th, 1872, when they see a ship spotted adrift in this completely turbulent sea. The captain of this ship that we're talking about, the De Gratia, Captain David Morehouse, is pretty shocked to see this ship because it turns out to be the Mary Celeste. And his ship and the Mary Celeste actually left New York with only 8 days in between them. So he's like, hey, they should have been in Italy by now. Why the fuck are they up here in the Azores? And so he's like, well, I know of this ship. I gotta go help them. So they change their course to go check out the Mary Celeste.
That's very nice of them. These people are like the ship that found the Titanic.
Exactly. And, it's... See, that's why if I was a ship captain and I saw I watched a very interesting YouTube video, which I'll link in our sources, that was talking about ghost ships. And more about the phenomenon of when you see ghost ships and they're not there versus when you see ghost ships and they are there, like real abandoned ships versus apparitions on the sea, right?
Yeah.
Because both occur. And if I was a ship captain, I would always be going to that ship because worst case scenario, maybe it's pirates and you get totally fucked. But other worst case scenario, it's an apparition. But then sometimes you'll get what I'm about to tell you.
Okay.
So Captain Morehouse sends a boarding party onto the Mary Celeste, and below decks, they see that all of the ship's charts and maps have been kind of tossed around in the rooms, and all of the sailors' belongings are still in their rooms. They also see that there is one lifeboat missing, and 2 of the pumps for the ship that pump water, if the water gets in there, it pumps the water out, have been disassembled. And in some tellings of the tale, some lanterns are still burning.
Oh God, I hope that's true. That's spooky as hell.
It's spooky as hell. In addition to this, 3.5 feet of water was sitting at the bottom of the boat, along with all of the 1,701 barrels of industrial alcohol. It's not alcohol for drinking, alcohol for like cleaning and stuff like that. And there was also a 6-month supply of food and water, and not a soul to be found.
I hate it. I hate it so much.
It's creepy. It sends the shivers up your spine.
Well, it's just, I'm sure we're going to get into it, but where the fuck did they go?
We've turned our spyglass to mystery. So after spotting the Mary Celeste, about 10 days later, the ship, the De Gratia, sails the Mary Celeste and the De Gratia back to Gibraltar. Gibraltar.
Where do you think that is?
I'm not sure.
Where are they?
I'll insert it here.
It's on the Iberian Peninsula.
And it's pronounced Gibraltar. I've never seen that written out. Anyway, back to the show. So a British Vice Admiralty court has to convene a salvage hearing, which is basically to determine if the people who salvaged an abandoned ship get to keep it.
Okay.
Because the De Gratia's crew, by kind of the universal rule of the ocean, if you find an abandoned ship, you can keep it, or you can accept, in some cases, an insurance payout from whoever is insuring the ship.
Oh, for like bringing it back to
Yeah.
them. It's kind of like, it's like a reward.
Yeah, it's like, thanks for finding our ship, guys.
Sure. Love it.
But an attorney general in charge of this whole affair, Frederick Solly Flood, was immediately like, something actually smells fishy. I suspect that something is not right here.
I should think not. Where are those people?
Yeah, and Captain Briggs, who is captaining the Mary Celeste, was known to be an extremely competent sailor. So it's like not really, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense that he would abandon a ship that was actually in such good shape, because there wasn't too much wrong with the ship other than, you know, the disassembled
water
pump
and
the water. Yeah. So a publication called the Daily Nautica had reported that Morehouse had actually had dinner in New York with Briggs the night before Briggs left on the Mary Celeste. And so people knew that they were friends. So this basically cast suspicion on the two captains that they colluded together to orchestrate this scheme for an insurance payout.
Well, we do see that a lot, so I wouldn't be totally surprised.
Right? That's what I was thinking. I was like, we're doing this to ships too? We're murdering ships for insurance too?
Con artists will do anything to make a buck. But I mean, yeah, in this case it's definitely not that.
Well, you know, something about the Mary Celeste that I failed to mention is that she has something of a shadowy past.
Uh-oh.
She has shady beginnings. She was originally christened the Amazon and then given a new name after a bunch of misfortunes hit the ship, including many sudden illnesses that resulted in death, which included the death of its first captain, and it actually collided with another ship in the English Channel.
So their solution was to call it something else?
They're like, this ship has a bad reputation, let's name it something else.
Nice try, everybody.
Nice try, it's still the same ship.
It's still bad.
Yeah. So something that Flood, the inspector, was thinking was that Briggs had actually killed his crew and hid away in the cargo hold until he was snuck on to the De Gratia.
That's an interesting idea. But, like, why? What's the motive?
Well,
And his family was on there, weren't they? Like, where's his family?
Oh, Katelyn, they really needed you back then. That is exactly the argument against Flood's theory, is that, you know, it doesn't really hold any water if you inspect it thoroughly. Thank you. Yeah, what happened to his family? He handpicked all of these men, so he knew them all personally. They were like his friends and most trusted sailors. He brought his own family on board. That doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense.
So eventually, Flood drops this investigation after not being able to find enough evidence to really stick it to the crew of the De Gratia. And the crew of the De Gratia do actually get a payment, but it's only about a sixth of the total $46,000 that would be the value of the Mary Celeste. So they were kind of like, we're not going to get you in any trouble, but we don't believe you guys are completely innocent. So you get a sixth of the money you would normally get.
I don't know. It's complicated.
Yeah, exactly.
What a mess.
But this investigation does not in any way clear up where the fuck the people of the Mary Celeste went.
Right. It still is like, sorry, there's what? If there's 10 people missing? Mm-hmm. Yeah, where the fuck are they?
Well, there are many theories. Shall we go through them?
Please. So they never found any bodies?
Nope.
Jesus.
I know, which is like, the theories I'm about to run through to to me, have a lot of a ring of like the Dyatlov Pass almost. Like,
Sure.
because we've got some ones that are very plausible and it's like, these seem to fit. And then we've got some ones that are way out in left field's cousin, left field.
Okay, I'm excited. Let's get into it.
So here are some theories. One theory that I think we can kind of throw right out the old door is that the crew drank some of this industrial alcohol, got rowdy, and did a mutiny.
Did a mutiny, and then they all jumped off the ship too.
Yeah.
What?
There are no signs of like violence per se, other than the like maps and charts thrown around. But like, what, did they just fight in the map room?
Yeah, and
I'll see you in the map room to have it out.
well, it just doesn't make sense if they're doing a mutiny. It's like they want the ship.
Yeah,
That's the point of doing a mutiny. So then why would they leave the ship?
exactly. Other people are like, hey, what about pirates? And everyone else was like, hey, all the valuables were still there. It's like, so sorry, pirates.
Well, yeah, and they would have probably taken the ship as well. Like, that's also very valuable.
Exactly. A pirate's not just going to leave a ship floating around, especially if this ship is worth $46,000. A pirate
They're
might
not
know that.
stupid.
Yeah.
It's like they're not just so bloodthirsty that they're like, let's get these 10 people and leave all the riches. I'm a pirate. Like, it doesn't make sense.
I'm a pirate. I love killing and I hate money.
It doesn't make sense.
No. And of course, if we're going pirates and we're going mutiny, it's just a hop, skip, and a jump to sea monsters and eventually aliens.
Well, it always goes there. That's almost more plausible to me than the mutiny.
It's the old mutiny to sea monster to alien pipeline.
The Kraken scooped every last person off the ship, but left the ship in pristine order and just rustled some maps around.
Exactly. The tentacle went through the map room, grabbed everybody, went back through the map room.
Or what, the Loch Ness Monster just like slithered all around the ship, eating everybody and leaving no trace, again, except in the map room. Okay. What?
Oh, to be in that map room.
Something happened in there for sure.
For sure.
Or somebody like threw them all in the air and was like, this is ridiculous. Look at this.
You're driving me insane.
Yeah, it's hopeless, I tell you, hopeless.
I mean, we'll come back to that. So everyone is super interested in figuring out what happened to the Mary Celeste. So much so that Sir Arthur Conan Doyle himself writes a completely fictitious story about it, which includes that the crew of the ship were killed by a formerly enslaved person who escaped and killed them out of vengeance. This is all fake. All fake. Sir Arthur Conan Doyle is full of absolute bullshit on this one.
I don't like that one bit.
No, I don't like it either, but...
So he believes in fairies.
Yeah.
And this.
Okay,
whatever, guy.
Strange beliefs off that man.
Wasn't he? I think he was he's like into spiritualism. Whenever those stories about spiritualism come up, I feel like Arthur Conan Doyle pops up and is like, hey, I think that's awesome.
Yeah, he's big horny for ghosts, so I thought that he would be into this. Like the actual mystery.
Yeah, make it a ghost story. Why does it have to be racist?
You know what? I don't know. I ask myself that a lot of time.
Like, stick to what you're good at. Like, come on. Well, God, anyway.
So, a New York insurance appraiser named Arthur N. Putnam, he was a, quote, leading investigator in sea mysteries. How do you get that job? How do I become a leading investigator in sea mysteries?
You got to get in good with Aquaman.
I thought that I was. I thought that he liked me. I thought we were friends.
Oh my God. Is that like a one-man department? Like, what's going on over there?
Yeah, it's in the police station. You got, like cyber crimes, white collar crime, and then sea mysteries. Anyway, his theory, the man who was an expert on sea mysteries in the early 20th century, so he's hanging out in the early 1900s, and he focused primarily on the lifeboat. He said that there was one lifeboat missing from the Mary Celeste, and the rope that held the lifeboat was cut, not untied. So they had to evacuate extremely quickly, is what he thought.
Yeah, so somebody would have, like, people were loaded in and then they were cut down so it would get into the water faster.
I would believe so, yeah. Because
But we don't know because they never found the goddamn boat.
Exactly. There were several entries in the ship's log where there were mentions of, quote, an ominous rumbling. And a lot of people think that that is from small explosions that were happening in the cargo hold due to the explosive gas being given off by the barrels of industrial alcohol being stored underneath there. So he thought that perhaps one day they heard an extra loud explosion down there, got really freaked out, and like took everybody to the lifeboat, cut it down, escaped out the lifeboat, ...
Yeah, I mean, that's plausible.
A lot of people agree with him that something must have been happening on the ship for them to leave so quickly. Because, like I said, there were very little problems technically with the ship. The first mate of Morehouse's first mate, DeVoe, who had been one of the people who had gone below deck and onto the Mary Celeste, says that it's possible that the ship could have received a false sounding, and because of like some sort of malfunction of these pumps that I was talking about, which gave them a false impression that the ship was taking on water really quickly. So that could possibly cause them to escape very quickly.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Now we're getting into some of these Dyatlov Pass type strange natural explanations.
Like a fucking whirlpool or something?
My darling, a water spout.
Oh, Jesus God. What's that?
It's when a big spout of water come out the ocean.
Oh, God.
A severe water spout strike could have happened before they abandoned this ship. It could have struck the ship, which would explain, and the pumps were malfunctioning, as we've covered, which would explain why there was so much water in the bottom of the ship. And that could have freaked everybody out and thought they were in danger of sinking. So they hopped in the lifeboat and left. This one you'll absolutely love. Some people say it's possible that there was a displaced iceberg floating near the Mary Celeste.
Titanic vibes for sure.
Of course. A lot of people say, though, if an iceberg was floating that far south or that far north, people would be super aware of it. Other ships would have seen it because icebergs aren't small.
I'm sorry, an iceberg sunk the fucking Titanic. Like, and if the Mary Celeste had been hit an iceberg or anything to do with an iceberg, there would have been some evidence of that, I feel like.
Absolutely. If it had hit an iceberg, we certainly would have known. Another explanation is that there was an underwater earthquake.
Damn. What are the odds? It's not funny, sorry.
Well, this could have caused a lot of like turbulence on the surface of the ocean and damaged parts of the Mary Celeste, the ship, and also the cargo. And it could have released more of these noxious fumes that we're talking about, the explosive fumes. And this could have caused Briggs to there were some open hatches to the cargo hold when they found the ship. So that could have been Briggs trying to air out the cargo hold and prevent an explosion. So they left the ship so that it would air out.
Yeah, and they somehow got waylaid on the way back.
Yeah. Another explanation, of course, has to do with the alcohol that was on. We've talked about these noxious fumes. We've talked about small explosions. Some people hypothesize there was a really big explosion in the cargo hold. But
why is there not damage? Like, they would know if there was a fucking explosion, wouldn't they?
Well, in 2006, there was an experiment that was carried out by a chemist named Andrea Stella, who was of the University College London. And what she basically did was build a model of the Mary Celeste, of the like hold where the barrels would have been with the alcohol. And she used little paper cartons to represent the barrels. And then she used butane gas and created an explosion, which was like a small ball of flame. And it actually didn't leave any fire damage, smoke, or soot residue on the inside of the model.
Interesting.
So that does not prove definitively that there was an explosion, but it proves that there could have been an explosion that would not have left explosion-like evidence. You know what I mean?
Right. But then, like, where, like, it was such a powerful explosion that it just evaporated their bones and stuff? Like, what?
No, it would have just alerted them to leave, you know?
Sure, okay.
This would have also been an explanation for when they found the ship, the sails were all fucked up as well. And they thought that the force of the explosion could have fucked up their sails, thus rendering the ship way more difficult or impossible to sail.
Okay, yeah.
So the best explanation, I believe, or the best theory comes from documentarian Anne McGregor. And in 2002, she became kind of fixated on figuring out the Mary Celeste, which is like, who could blame her?
No, it's fascinating.
And so she actually teamed up with a physical oceanographer named Woods Hole. His name was, McGregor teamed up with a physical oceanographer at the Woods Hole Oceanographic Institute in Massachusetts, and his name was Phil Richards. His name was not Wood Hole.
Got it.
And together they were able to reconstruct the drifting path of the Mary Celeste. And what they figured out is that Briggs's chronometer, which is a device that helps determine like where the ship is, its like position at sea, was broken.
Oh,
and so
shit.
the Mary Celeste, where it was found, was about 120 miles west of where it should have been if it was following its correct course. And so the captain was like, oh, I should have spotted land 3 days before now. And that probably really freaked him out. So this is all adding to the, mental state of the captain. McGregor looked at, remember Flood, the investigator who suspected insurance fraud? She looked at his notes and also Briggs's notes. So McGregor discovered when looking at the history of the Mary Celeste that it had previously been on a journey where it carried coal. And it's possible that coal dust and debris from a recent renovation of the ship clogged the ship's pumps, meaning that any water that made it into the lower decks of the ship could not be pumped back out. And she thinks that perhaps because Briggs knew he was so off course and was looking at the pumps and realizing how damaged they were, that this could have prompted them to abandon the boat because they had, by this time they were so off course, but they were actually within sight of Santa Maria Island. So she thinks that Briggs, the captain, was like, our ship's so fucked right now. Everybody get in the lifeboat and we're going to go to Santa Maria Island. And she thinks that because the weather had been so terrible through all of this, that it continued to be so, and that the lifeboat was capsized and that all 10 people drowned.
It's a good, it's a good theory. I just wish that it's just so crazy that there's just no evidence. There was no, I don't know how much they looked at that point, but it's crazy that nobody found any evidence of any bodies or any piece of the lifeboat or anything.
Yeah, they just...
Because I guess it was just in the middle of the fucking ocean, so...
Yeah, they just disappeared.
Where do you start?
Yeah, and this theory is, of course, not definitive. This is just, one of many. And we, like you said, we have no idea what happened to the crew and passengers of the Mary Celeste. But we do know what happened to the ship.
Where is it?
Well, after this whole debacle, the Mary Celeste was sold and renamed.
God, you guys. Why don't we just chop it up and use the pieces for firewood? Like, come on.
Well, the guy who bought it was using it for kind of trade type journeys, but it was losing money every time it went out on the water. So this guy filled it with useless shit, overinsured it, and then ran it aground in Haiti to commit insurance fraud.
Perfect. So it was fated to commit insurance fraud after all.
Yeah, and it is rotting somewhere on the coast of Haiti.
Damn. Okay. Poor Mary Celeste.
I know. She never wanted to be a ghost ship. She just wanted to be a good ship, but she kept fucking up.
Man. Damn. That's so crazy. It's just, with the Titanic, it's like you know what happened and it's horrible, but you have an answer. And with this, it's just like, they're just gone. Like a family of 3 and 7 crew members just disappeared. Like, how close is the shit to the Bermuda Triangle? Like, what is going on?
I mean, it's hilarious that you bring that up, because some people do bring that up, but it is not close at all. Like, the Bermuda Triangle has a lot of power, and we'll talk about the Bermuda Triangle one day, but this one cannot be blamed on the triangle. The worst part about all this is I didn't even mention that Briggs and his wife had a son they left behind because he was in school.
Oh, he got orphaned.
I know.
Just had no idea what happened to his family. That sucks.
That's what's so scary about the sea to me, is that it can swallow something whole like that. That group of people, whole ships, you know, it can make things disappear.
Yeah, it's so scary. Sometimes I think about how the Titanic is still sitting on the bottom of the ocean where it fell.
And there may be people in those compartments. We don't know.
That's right. We talked about that. Mm-hmm. All right. Ponder your own mortality or think about yachting or, I don't know, canoeing. And we'll see you soon.
Anchors away!
Hey, what's up, you guys? I'm Catherine.
And I'm Haley.
And we are Saturdays Are for the Ghouls,
A podcast on the Podmoth Network.
We cover all things spooky, like horror movies, true crime, the supernatural, and spooky stories.
In the most chaotic way possible.
So join your favorite ghoul friends every Saturday wherever you listen to podcasts.
And become a spooky babe.
So spooky babes, we'll see you
In your nightmares.
And we're back. Welcome back to the podcast where we talk about bones, bone-related topics, and maritime confusion.
I'm Sophie Schwartz, investigator of sea mysteries. And this is my host, and this is my co-host, Katelyn Hart, investigator of land mysteries.
Yeah, between the two of us, we cover it all. Mm-hmm. The whole goddamn planet.
Do you have a land mystery for me?
I do, actually. Since you said please, I don't know. It doesn't matter. I'd tell you anyway.
I'm so
sorry.
rude.
I just smacked into my microphone with my headphones.
Happens.
Please excuse. So today, I'm, like I said at the beginning, I was feeling like covering something on the lighter side, and I was looking at haunted places. Like, I was kind of going for more haunted, and then I started thinking about the Winchester Mystery House.
I'm always thinking about the Winchester Mystery House.
I'm fucking always thinking about it. I love it. I think it's so weird and interesting, and yeah, I wanted to get a little bit more into it, so that's what we're talking about today.
Well, pow, let's get into it.
So sources for this were Atlas Obscura, WinchesterMysteryHouse.com, sfgate.com, SF for San Francisco, I assume, and allthat'sinteresting.com, which we really use them a lot. They're pretty cool.
It's funny because I feel like every time I type in a topic to find my sources, on the first or second page, there's that All Things Interesting site. I'm like,
yeah, it's
go.
like, okay, I've arrived.
I know someone wants to talk about this.
Exactly. And it's going to be somewhat interesting.
Well, it's one of the interesting things, apparently.
So there's no point in talking about the Winchester Mystery House without talking about its owner, Sarah Winchester. But before I talk about her owning the mansion, we got to go back to her early life. So she was born in New Haven, Connecticut in around 1840. And she had a pretty ordinary childhood and young adulthood. The only thing was that her family was pretty well off. She was born Sarah Lockwood Pardee, and her father, Leonard Pardee, was a carriage manufacturer. So, carriages were pretty popular, I assume. So he had it in with all the people that had carriages.
I mean, they were pretty popular until we got cars.
Yeah, it's 1840, we're doing things.
Oh,
we're
that's
getting
solidly
places.
carriage time.
And I guess Sarah's mom was like a high society member in New Haven, Connecticut. There were 7 children in the family. Sarah was taught a lot of things from a young age. She learned 4 languages and was admitted to the Young Ladies Collegiate Institute at Yale College.
Ooh.
I don't know what that is, but it sounds
Fancy.
Sounds as good as you can get for the mid 1800s.
Yeah, if you're a lady who managed to weasel her way past all of the men trying to stop her from getting an education, that sounds very prestigious.
Yeah. She was really, really smart and savvy. And once she was kind of a young woman around the age for marriage, she was in a good position to meet somebody that was like equally privileged, basically.
Yeah.
We want to find let me say it a different way. The family's like, we're cool, we're rich. We can be even cooler and even richer if Sarah marries somebody cool and rich.
I mean, that's what rich people do, is they combine forces to just grow their wealth and keep it from everyone else.
Yes. So there are apparently several options or, potentials, but they are all on board with a man named William Wirt Winchester. And he starts courting Sarah, and they end up getting married. William is the only son of Oliver Winchester, who is a firearms manufacturer. So that name should sound pretty familiar, even if you don't know a lot about guns. You've probably heard of a Winchester rifle.
Yeah.
So William is heir to the Winchester Repeating Arms Company. Big deal.
Yeah.
They were the first company to mass produce guns that had an ability to fire multiple rounds without reloading. So before them, you had your rifle and you had to put the bullets in, put the gunpowder, pump it with a stick. I don't know. I'm simplifying, but you could get 2 shots off, and it took some time to get there, right? So this was
and then you had to load your pumping stick back up.
I don't know.
And talk to your friend, get some of the hot goss on the warfield.
Yeah, and you're trying to do all this while guns are flying all around you, so bullets are flying all around you. If guns are flying, that's really bad.
Oh my god. You're out of bullets, just chuck your gun.
Apparently. And the Winchester model that came out in 1873 was incredibly popular. Excellent year. No, it was used. It's not funny, actually. These guns were widely used during the American Indian Wars.
Oh, that is not funny.
But needless to say, these guns are innovative. There's wars going on, so they're selling like fucking hotcakes.
I would imagine that's a total game changer in the firearms industry.
So the Winchester family is getting paid like crazy. And then William is the only son in this empire, and he's married to Sarah.
Aw, shit, he's fucking set.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, they both are. They marry in 1862, and William works as a treasurer for the company. And then 4 years into the marriage, they have a daughter named Annie. Unfortunately, only a few months after she was born, she died of something called marasmus. Which is, quote, a rare disease in which the body suffers malnutrition due to an inability to metabolize proteins.
That's so sad.
Probably a really sad and slow, just awful death. Malnutrition. I would think there'd be, especially in the 1800s, there'd be a lot of shame and guilt. What did I do wrong? Why did... it's just horrible.
Yeah, Because I'm assuming they didn't know. Did they know that they were dying of this very specific and rare disease?
Unclear if this was diagnosed at the time or if it was later. I would say if it's a rare it says it's a rare disease, so maybe they found out about it later or something. In 1880, Sarah's father-in-law, Oliver, who is the founder of the Winchester Company, he dies. And then 1 year after that, 1881, Sarah's husband, William, gets sick and dies of tuberculosis very suddenly.
Oh my goodness. God, that's terrible.
Yeah, so in a matter of months, this poor woman loses her baby daughter, her father-in-law, and her husband.
Oh my goodness.
But, and I'm not saying that this makes it worth it, bitch is loaded. Because the whole fortune is going to her now.
Yeah, I mean, hard to call it a silver lining, but, it is what it is.
Yeah. And I'm not trying to make light of it. I'm, trying to keep it peppy, but it's hard. All this death,
Yeah,
trying to toe the line.
This is you choosing a light, fluffy topic.
Yeah, it's so fluffy. The lore of Sarah Winchester and the story of Sarah Winchester is very sad. This is kind of, her beginnings do shape the impression of her house. So it's important. So Sarah Winchester is suddenly worth $20 million, equivalent to about $500 million in today's money.
Fuck.
She's got a 50% stake in the company, and basically she's getting about $1,000 a day with that stake, which would be about $26,000 when the article was written in 2019.
That's crazy money. That's an intense amount of money, yeah.
Yeah. So she's like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do with all this money? And also she's grieving. She's suffered several losses, traumatic losses. So she's ready for a fresh start. So in 1886, she travels from New Haven, Connecticut to San Jose, California.
Hey!
In San Jose, she gets a 8-room farmhouse and gets to work. And if you've heard of the Winchester Mystery House before, you know what I'm talking about. This is known as the longest renovation project in history.
Oh my God.
So construction would last on this property for 36 years, stopping only when Sarah Winchester died in 1922.
She just never stopped.
Yes. So the mansion was, quote, a modern marvel with indoor plumbing, multiple elevators, a hot shower, and central heating.
Ooh.
So that was pretty big in the, late 1800s, early 1900s.
Oh, that's the height of luxury.
Yeah, hell yeah. And then, directly from the website, I've got some numbers to throw at you, and this just blows my mind.
Hell yeah, fucking hit me. I love when we get the stats. Yes!
The nitty-gritty. 24,000 square feet. 10,000 windows.
What?
10,000 windows. 2,000 doors. 160 rooms. 52 skylights. 47 stairways and fireplaces. 17 chimneys. 13 bathrooms. 6 kitchens, and then it was built for about $5 million in the early 1920s, or about $71 million today.
That is so outrageous.
That's what it ended up being by the time they stopped construction in 1922.
I'm sorry, all of that was incredibly impressive, but I'm still getting over 10,000 windows, 2,000 doors?
Mm-hmm.
The 13 bathrooms is funny to me.
Yeah, 6 kitchens too. Wow, if you got it, flaunt it.
6 kitchens? What do you
I don't know why
how do
any
you even?
household would need that many kitchens, but oh well.
No, and was this grieving woman doing a lot of entertaining?
No.
Was she having lots of balls? Was she
Absolutely
out here
not.
inviting people to shit in her 13 bathrooms?
No, definitely not. So some of the things about the Winchester Mystery House, not only the size and the quantity, right, of all of these different things, there's some weird shit going on in this house. So some of the doors, you remember there are 2,000 of them, so you're bound to have some weird ones. One of them, one door leads to an 8-foot drop to the kitchen sink.
What?
Or one of 6 or whatever.
Yeah.
Another door just, you look at it, you open it, and it drops you directly outside the house. If you took one step, you would fall several stories into a bush.
Getting lost there would be an absolute nightmare.
Oh yeah, you'd never find your way out. There are staircases that go directly to the ceiling for no reason.
Sure.
This one is a little less weird to me. I guess there were expensive Tiffany glass windows that were installed in places where there wouldn't be any light. So they're just kind of there. They're not really on display.
I mean, you said she's loaded, she's got more money than God. She can buy as many Tiffany windows as she wants.
She's making, in today's money, she's making about $26,000 a day. She can do whatever she goddamn wants.
Fuck.
My favorite thing that I read about this house, mansion, it's not really a house.
Yeah.
There is a cabinet that extends through 30 rooms of the house. You just open it and it takes you through 30 rooms, allegedly.
Okay, I know you're going to tell me more about this and is this an art?
No.
Is she maybe the best artist ever? Is she an architectural artist? Because it makes no fucking sense. But I would love to see that. That is so cool. You open up the cabinet and it just goes.
You're just walking through Narnia, but it's your same house.
That's some absurdist shit.
Yeah. And the construction was almost constant for 36 years in creating all of this incredible weird shit.
That must have been a nightmare for her to live with.
So let's get into, possible reasons why. Why was this happening? There were a lot of stories about why the construction was constant, why she was doing this. But there's one version of events, and then there's another version of events that I think is just as likely. So I'm going to tell you the more popular one, and then we'll poke some holes in it.
Sounds fun.
Love to do that. Prevalent, most prevalent theory, what you're going to hear about when you hear about the Winchester Mystery House and Sarah Winchester, the theory is that she was haunted by the spirits of the victims of Winchester rifles, which would have been, hundreds of them. So
Thousands.
Hundreds upon thousands of the people that she was, being haunted by. Mm-hmm. And apparently she loved going to mediums and psychics. One of them told her that in order to, evade these vengeful spirits, she needed to go out to the West Coast, buy a house, and build forever, basically. What psychic would tell you to do that?
I was going to say, we're going to have to send her to, what's that psychic society on the East Coast that is really hard to get into?
Oh, yeah. I can't remember what it's called, but the community of spiritualists.
Yeah, we got to put her through their test and see if she's worth her salt here.
So this is one possibility. Another possibility is that her belief was that as soon as construction was ended, she was going to die. Not sure if that's supernatural or just, I'm not sure what that is.
Yeah.
Some people thought that she built the home like this crazy maze because she wanted to trap the ghosts. Quite literally, confound them. And if they can't find her, they can't haunt her, I guess. So she built this crazy house so that the ghosts can't catch her.
I love that. I love that this woman is I will outsmart the ghosts. The ghosts cannot catch me if they cannot find me. And that is the plan. 7 burly construction workers.
Yeah, sure. So this is the overarching theme of well-known history about Sarah Winchester is that she was very superstitious, very conscious of, death and the afterlife. Some accounts say she had seance rooms, multiple seance rooms, or that she would sleep in a different bedroom every night so that so that ghosts wouldn't find her. It's all fun and good. It's fascinating, but it's probably not the case. It's probably not True.
I mean, it's all fun and ghosts until you look at the history.
So the reason that she moved out to the California area was she had just experienced three significant losses in a row. She just didn't want to be on the East Coast anymore, and she had family that was in California. I guess her brother-in-law was president of Mills College, and two sisters lived in the Bay Area. So she's from Connecticut, but she has family on the West Coast. So it's not like she has this connection to the West Coast. It's not like, oh, a psychic told me I needed to buy a house in the West. And like, it's like, no, she has family out there. Like,
Yeah,
what are you talking about?
It's not as random as it seems.
Right. And she, as we've talked about, she's making so much money every day. She's got to have a hobby.
Yeah,
Bitch's hobby is architecture. Is that a crime? No.
the woman was making her house into a living art piece.
So
The woman's hobby was architecture.
I'm going to just read you a quote here.
Please.
Quote, from the start, she had a hard time squaring her ambitions with conventional architecture. She parted ways with several architects before deciding to draw up plans herself. With no professional training, it didn't always go smoothly. Quote, I am constantly having to make an upheaval for some reason, Winchester wrote to her sister-in-law in 1898.
Dear sister, I have no experience in architecture, but I have been designing my own house. Unfortunately, things have gone awry.
So I think in that same letter, she was like talking about how there was a hallway and she put some kind of addition on one side of the hallway, but then the lighting was so bad because of the addition that people kept tripping in that one spot. So she's like, oh shit, I have to do something about that. Like, it's not safe anymore. Like, so she was a nice lady. She just didn't really know what she was doing.
I love that she's like, yeah, I'm gonna build a cabinet that goes through 30 of the rooms of the house, but if it isn't safe, I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah. So she could have been creating this labyrinth, this maze to trap ghosts. Or she also could have just been really into architecture. She also just maybe wasn't super, super awesome at it. But when she made mistakes, she had the money and the time to just try something else.
Yeah, she's like, fuck it. Door to the outside. Why not?
Yeah. Who knows what that started project was going to be.
I know. I have a suspicion now that you've told me that. It sounds like she was like maybe gonna put a hallway and like another like addition there and then just was like, fuck it.
Yeah, pretty much. Most likely that's what happened with that door. Also, part of the like mystique of Sarah Winchester, she didn't go out. She liked hanging out at home. She had actually a few properties. She mostly lived at this mansion, but there were other properties that she had. And she had like a few close family friends. She had like a team of probably servants or, you know, helpers, whatever. But she didn't really have a reputation of her own. It was just like clouded in mystery because nobody actually knew her. So, of course, people started to gossip. And this weird reputation, you know, started to become more public.
That's fascinating and makes a lot of sense that people are, you know, would make up stories to justify this, you know, mind-boggling house.
Right, yeah. Because, so, we're in 1895, and obviously people are like, this used to be like an 8-room farmhouse, and now it's like this like towering monstrosity, and people are like, oh, what the fuck? So I guess February 24th, 1895, the San Francisco Chronicle ran an article about the house that basically just like laid all the groundwork for the mystery of Winchester Mystery House. They said, quote, the sound of the hammer is never hushed. The reason for it is in Mrs. Winchester's belief that when the house is entirely finished, she will die.
Well, there you go. That's where that came from.
That's exactly where that came from. It was just in an article in 1895, and now it's part of the fucking lore.
Well, we've talked a lot about journalism from in the 1800s was pretty wild.
Pretty wild. And she was a woman alone, and she wasn't defending herself because she wasn't going out and about. So she was she might have been kind of an easy target or a convenient target for people. And I just want to point out that some sources have evidence that she did stop work every once in a while. She would stop if it was really cold in the winter, or there was one time where she stopped for the summer because it was too hot to work. She was not this unreasonable person who people had to be working day and night, or else she was going to crack the whip. She was just a boss. She was just a lady.
She's just a lady.
Yeah. So Colin Dickey, he is the author of Ghostland, An American History and Haunted Places. I feel like I've talked about him before.
We have, definitely.
We both have. He talked about Sarah Winchester a little bit, and he thinks that the gossip about her has a lot to do with, quote, economic uncertainty. So his argument is that because America was in kind of a depression when she was building this house, and unemployment was really high. She was this, quote, perfect villain, a reclusive widow wasting her money on a pointless mansion while people starved outside its gate. She's kind of like a Marie Antoinette.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah.
So it's not too hard to imagine that they kind of played up that aspect of her because it was more interesting than she's just this, lonely, sad woman who likes architecture.
Yeah.
Some articles were even criticizing that she was being wasteful. In 1909, an article ran in the same San Francisco Chronicle, and they said, quote, the lonely heiress to millions has found her sole pleasure during this last 7 years in directing the efforts of workmen who are called upon to construct one month what they destroy the next. And it's so I think they're villainizing her and saying she just doesn't know what she wants. She's, she's an indecisive woman or whatever. But some people actually think that she wanted them to keep building because it was good for the economy.
That's true. If she was hiring a bunch of people to work on her house and paying them, that's job creation. But I mean, I kind of see where they're coming from, with the Marie Antoinette vibe of she could be, she really loves architecture and, she could be building houses for, the people who need them. But it sounds like perhaps you wouldn't want that because
given her how she designs things. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think the house you might get out of that would maybe be a bit difficult to live in.
Be confusing. Yeah. Yeah, there's definitely some, you have a good point, because, there definitely could have been more attention. She was charitable. There's a lot of evidence of her being charitable, and I like to believe that she was doing a lot of this construction to just keep the locals employed, and I believe that she treated her employees well. There were no complaints there. So, basically, while she was alive, it doesn't seem like there was a lot that was written about her being attached to the supernatural. This kind of happened after she died, and the lore of Sarah Winchester and her house kind of was born, unfortunately, after she died. When she died in 1922, construction did stop, but the news didn't really pick up the story too much. She died not in obscurity, but just kind of peacefully, and people didn't really talk about it too much. When she died, she gave most of her fortune to charity. Everything else went to a niece. They auctioned off her real estate holdings, and then the Winchester Mansion was purchased by a man named John H. Brown, who was a theme park guy and a designer of roller coasters.
Okay.
He had designed this thing called the Backety Back Coaster in Canada. Unfortunately, it did kill a woman. She was thrown out of one of the carts. And after she died, John Brown and his wife moved to California to try to kind of get away from all that. And so when the Winchester Mansion was up to be rented, John Brown and his wife were like, hell yeah, let's get this house and let's try and make some money off of it.
Of course, yeah.
So by the time, a couple years after Sarah's death, this is when we start really seeing newspaper stories about the supernatural powers of the Winchester Mystery House. And I think in like 1923-ish is when it became like a public place where more of a tourist attraction. And it is a pretty cool tourist attraction, I will say. But before I get into like what it's like to go there, I just want to say that I'm just going to end Sarah's bit on a quote. Quote, although the spirits are fun, the ghosts shroud the real life of a fascinating, creative woman. Winchester was as sane and clear-headed a woman as I have ever known, her lawyer Samuel Lieb said after her death. She had a better grasp of business and financial affairs than most men. So people really cared about her. But her fucking house, man.
Sometimes your house is a little kooky.
I have been to the Winchester Mystery House. I went in 2015, and I went in completely blind as to what I was about to experience. I sent you a picture, so from my time at the Winchester Mystery House with me and two buddies from college. I'll post this for the listeners.
Oh my goodness. I fucking know those people.
Yeah. But
you with your rifle, oh my god.
I know, it's a lot. This was at the beginning of the tour, I feel like, and then once you like hear about it and you realize the history of it and the heaviness of it, it's like, wow, I really took a picture laughing while pointing a gun at my friend. It was all good. It was all for fun.
Yeah.
So, you're driving through San Jose. It like looks like every other part of California, and then you look over and there's this enormous, crazy house, and it doesn't make any sense. It like there's rooms everywhere. It's like very tall and big, and there's stables. There's all kinds of shit. And of course, there's a giant gift shop, which was very fun. There's a museum in there about the history of guns. That wasn't as interesting to me. But then you get to go on this tour of the house, and it is buck wild. The thing I remember the most was how tiny the stairs were. They weren't like normal stairs, so the stairs kind of looked like a handicap ramp. And then the stairs just went up really, really gradually. And I remember they said that she had really bad arthritis. And so she designed some of the stairs in like her later years so that it was easier for her to like walk through her own house and have it be accessible for her. I believe I saw what they call the seance room. There was like a dumbwaiter in the floor, I remember, in one room.
That's so weird.
They definitely played up the spooky vibe. And upon like more research, you hear more about like how she maybe wasn't so focused on ghosts. She was maybe more focused on architecture and like being charitable and just like maybe wanting to employ people in the area. But it's a really fun and exciting place. And I kind of connected with the guy that bought it, who was like a theme park guy, a roller coaster guy. It does kind of feel like a theme park in there. Like there's theme park vibes because it's just like really weird, but fun.
I mean, I was just looking up some pictures of it just to familiarize myself because I'm from Northern California, but I don't think I've ever driven by the Winchester Mystery House, actually. It's enormous. It's nuts. And I love that you've been. That's so cool.
A long time ago, like 7 years ago.
Yeah, no, when you said 2015, I was like, damn.
Yeah, I had no idea what I was seeing. And now I want to go back. Now I have all the knowledge and I'd want to really challenge some of the notions about Sarah Winchester.
Yeah, fucking go for it.
Because, to be fair, though, there have been, like, modern-day ghost hunters that have gone in there. And it is a spooky place. Like, they took us into the basement at one point, I remember, and it's really scary down there. But there's no actual documented, like, murders or, like, maybe Sarah's there. There was a movie with Helen Mirren that came out a few years ago about that where she played Sarah Winchester.
Oh, I want. Is it scary?
Yeah. Yeah, but it's like it really plays up the wounded, sad widow who's, trying to escape from these evil spirits who are haunting her. So the myth pervades even today.
Yeah, I mean, spoiler, I did know that you were going to do the Winchester Mystery House, which is why I decided to do the Mary Celeste, because I thought they would be good companions.
Yeah.
But all I knew about the Winchester Mystery House was that it was like a lady who was tortured by ghosts and she built too many rooms so that the ghosts wouldn't find her. Like, that's the prevailing...
Yeah.
And, like, you know, I'm so glad that I now know her actual history, but I do gotta hand it to theme park guy and newspaper men of the late 1800s, because the idea of a woman, like, building a house to outsmart ghosts is, like, pretty radical.
Brilliant.
Yeah, it's
brilliant.
brilliant. It's haunting. It gives me the shivers. Like,
Yeah. She was such a spooky lady, so
she's perfect target for that. Yeah.
There's like one picture of her in existence, like one actual photograph of her. And she's like all in black in a carriage outside her house. And it's like really far away. It's so weird. It's like, oh my God, lady. Like,
oh my God, I love
she
that.
was very tortured.
I mean, I want that picture of me. Sounds like a sick ass
see if I can
picture.
find it for you.
Yeah. No, I want to recreate that picture.
Oh, I see.
But
Yeah.
I do want to see it.
We could do it.
If only my dad was a carriage manufacturer.
Yeah, then you would really be able to show everybody.
This is my papa's carriage.
Yeah. You can't have my riches.
They are coming to the grave.
Well, no, she did give it away. Luckily.
No, of course.
She didn't take it with her.
I mean, you can't take it with you.
You can't.
No, I'm sorry.
Okay,
I'm
well,
now
the version Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I'm just looking at this picture of you gleefully pointing a gun at your friend with a person who was my former RA standing in the middle.
So this is a really zoomed in picture of Sarah Winchester. It's like really grainy.
She does have a little smirk on her face, like, oh,
She's like, oh, you want to know about me? You can't.
Can't. I'm a mystery. Don't ask me anything. I will not answer it. I kind of love this. The hat is everything. The coat with the like either feathers or fur at the neck is very good. You know, she does look like a rich old 1800s supervillainess. Like, I can see where they get it.
Yeah.
But honestly, I'm connecting with the outfit. I'm connecting with the vibe.
I know, I thought you would. We need to go to the Winchester Mystery House because I feel like you would really like it because it's spooky light. Because nothing bad, that they know of really happened there. It's just really weird.
Well, yeah, we'll have to see in 1,000 years when they dig up the ground underneath it.
How many bones are under the Winchester Mystery House?
Oh, now let's not cast aspersions. We're doing the same thing.
Oh, okay.
No, but I want to know. Well, what a spine-tingling episode.
Yeah, hope you enjoyed being titillated, and I hope you weren't too bummed out.
Yeah, this was a lighter one overall.
Everybody take care of yourselves. Try to stay safe out there in the cold. And we love you so much. If you feel like it, we'd love a review on Apple or Spotify, Stitcher, wherever you listen. It really helps us out. We love you so much. Thank you. Bon voyage.
Thanks for listening to Anything Bones. Follow us on Instagram or Facebook at Anything Bones Podcast, or email us at anythingbonespodcast@gmail.com.
Thank you to Nick Kruger for our spooky music and Stephen Vetteroff
At Chubby Scrubby on Twitter.
for our jazzy vocals, and thank you to Camilla Franklin
At Camilla Strader on Instagram.
for our beautiful bony artwork. Please rate, review, and subscribe. Anchors away!